Hey everyone, welcome back to Funny Money. My name is Caleb Guilliams.
I'm Dominic Syracuse.
And in today's video, we are going to be talking about good debt and bad debt. And we're going to talk about how you decide whether you should take debt on and whether you shouldn't. This is a common question. I feel like there's no one that has a metric. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
There's people that have metrics. I just don't see a lot of people that have metrics on when they should go into debt and why they should go into debt. And so, want to get any thoughts, any funny stories before we get into the principle?
I think everyone says that this show's called Funny Money, and if you're wondering what the title is, it's pretty much just you get to laugh at me for the stupid decisions I've made in the past with money. As I say all the time, I lived for so long as a starving artist, as an actor, as a stand-up comedian, didn't know anything about money, thought it was something I was just illiterate to. What I realized was nobody really just taught me the mindset necessary and also just how to manage my money until I meet this guy over here with these adorable baby blues staring me in the face going, hey, you could be a lot more successful if you learn this stuff. And so now we're sharing it. So let me go back into my awful past and talk about, I don't know that I ever even knew what good debt was. Yeah. Because for me, debt was something that in my whole life, I always knew debt was something that you wanted to avoid. Yeah. But based on like the more poor decisions you make, you can't help but go into it, right? And I didn't understand inflation. I didn't understand any of that. I mean, it's actually part of the driving factor to why I was so successful in college was because my dad looked at me and said, look, the way we make, my family, we're middle class. He's like, unless you figure out a way to pay for your college, you can't go. Right. And the thing was, he said, but whatever you do, don't get student debt because it's just going to bury you in the end and all this. And so I went and just got a theater scholarship. I worked my butt off to, perform for them, and I ended up getting a theater scholarship. I was very lucky. I also know not a lot of people have that option, so they have to go into student debt or, any other debt, credit card debt, these things, go, if you want to just have a hearty laugh, go back and watch the episode about me talking about how I handled my credit card debt and just watch Caleb's reaction because he's still reeling from it.
I lost a lot of sleep on that last night.
What is good debt and bad debt?
Yeah, so when we think about good debt and bad debt, we first of all have to be able to decipher what versus how. Okay. What you buy is super important. What I find a lot of people get themselves in trouble is they buy things that do not matter. They literally buy things. You can take your cell phone, for example, and people buy the newest phone, and they just end up by getting into consumerism.
Oh my gosh.
So let's camp out on this for a second.
Let's.
So a lot of people that get themselves in trouble with bad debt are buying things that they shouldn't buy. And debt in general, I don't care if it's 0% debt, is a bad thing because it's you're incurring a payback to someone for something that you don't need, and in fact may even increase your lifestyle.
I mean, it's so funny you say this because one of my memories I remember so fondly was I first moved to Los Angeles, and a buddy of mine, we decided we wanted to go play instruments on Hollywood Boulevard. Okay? So, great. So, I go in, we start playing music, and this homeless gentleman comes up, and he's very clearly homeless, and he walks up, and he's like, you guys sound great, you guys sound good, and he goes, we're like, thanks, and he goes, look what I got, and this homeless man pulled out a brand new iPhone, and we're sitting there going, what the heck? And he goes, yo, this is the hot new thing. You gotta have it. So even though this man had literally no money, his priorities were stuck into where so many people's priorities are, which is I gotta get the new phone, I gotta get the new thing that looks good. And we were thinking, you could do so much with that money instead, right?
Yep. So one of the things that I wanna do is I wanna talk about, what you purchase. Okay? So one of the things is like, okay, you could buy things like liabilities, which is the definition of liability in my world is money, buying something that's taking money away from you and is not going to put money back in your pocket.
Right.
Okay? You could go into debt to get a house, and you have to ask the question: is this the right house for me?
Right.
Okay. Going into college, you're an example of like, I'm glad you didn't take a lot of debt into getting your degree because your degree hasn't really amounted to date at getting you the kind of job. Whereas there's some people, like lawyers and attorneys, that it would be like, you go to college and you're making good money.
Right.
You can go into debt for investment properties. So a lot of times when we think of becoming debt free, we turn off our brain, and it's really, really simple. Number one is what are you going to purchase? And ask the question, is this purchase going to be good or bad for me?
Right.
And actually put a quantitative value on that. For instance, college, I'll be able to make X amount of money when I graduate. Or if I take this money and invest in this real estate property, I'll be able to get this kind of cash flow and this kind of growth.
Right.
If I put this money into my business, this is what's going to happen. If you take out debt to go on vacation, you'll have a good time, which might be valuable, but at the end of the day, you're going to be back and you're going to have nothing of value. So you want to get super clear on what you do. The next thing is, then we have to talk about cost of capital, okay? And when you think of taking out debt, the two things that you really have to care about is two things: the term, when you have to pay them back and how that's set up, and the cost of interest that's associated with that. So here's the deal.
Okay.
Mortgages, buying a house, let's say you decide on a $200,000 house, which is a trailer, half a trailer in LA.
Exactly, not even.
So here's the deal. So let's say whatever you decide, this is where you need to be. The next question is, what is the most efficient way to purchase that? And you could get a mortgage for potentially right now less than 4% interest over 30 years, which we'll have a video dedicated to mortgage talk, which is going to be great. It's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I would make the argument that if you made a good decision, that mortgage is actually a good thing. What most people get themselves in trouble, because the opportunity cost, going back to every decision has a cost, long-term and short-term, I would pay 4% over 30 years to get in a house that I want to live in and invest the difference, okay? But a lot of people that get themselves in in a poor financial place are making decisions, number one, that are not bettering them off. And it may or may not be your fault. A lot of people, college is a perfect example. A lot of people find themselves in college massive in debt, and then they're like, man, I don't even want to do this.
Right.
But then the way that they're financing it, the terms are not super flexible.
Okay.
So payments go up and they eat into cash flow.
Right.
Or the interest, like in credit card interest, are high. So the question is, let's say good debt essentially allows you to put money back in your pocket and helps you live the kind of life that you want to live. Bad debt sets you up where more money is going just to finance, just to survive. And so a perfect example is if you were going to invest in an investment and you could earn 5%, would you pay 6% to buy a 5% investment?
No.
Correct. Because you would essentially, if you would have done that, you would have lost 20% on your money.
Right.
Because you would have been paying 6 and only earning 5.
Right.
20% loss.
Right.
On the flip side, would you pay 5% to earn 7?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a 40% rate of return.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, like, are you putting your money into something that's going to get you money back, or are you putting money into something that's going to take money away from you?
Yes.
And as we talk about all the time, that could be different for everybody based on your situation. Yep. But are you investing in yourself? Are you investing in something, like you say, a lot of times, like a microphone? If you're going to start doing a podcast, what is the rate of return on that microphone over how much money you can generate?
Right.
Versus, are you buying a Bentley because you just want to look super dope?
Right.
And then what's going to be the rate of return on that?
Right. So going back to this concept, okay, two things that when we think about bad debt versus good debt, it's not just one. We have to think about two things: what you're going to purchase,
right, and
then put a value on that. So, for instance, let's say the value, I'm going to go into debt to buy an investment at 7%.
Okay.
But the cost, so that's the 7%. That's what I'm going to do, and then the cost of that capital is 5%. So do you want to turn the screen on?
Let's do it.
So over time, I'm paying 5%.
Okay.
I'm earning 7. Over 1 year, that's a 40% rate of return.
That's huge.
Now, I could be paying 5, earning 4, 20% loss.
Yeah.
Now here, let's go back. Should I do the 7%? What if the cost of capital was 12? What if the cost of capital was 21? The problem that I don't like about credit card debt is it's so hard to justify. You will always find somebody that got lucky with using credit card debt. So I don't want to speak in absolutes, but credit card debt is so hard because of how the terms are set up, because of the interest rate, to justify using that and not paying off the full balance. So good debt and bad debts, in summary, figure out what you're going to do and make sure that will help drive the bottom line. Put a value on that thing, whether it's college, whether it's investments, whether it's whatever, and then decide, can I borrow money?
Right.
And with the terms, can I be ahead? Can I have a greater life? Can I have more money put in my pocket in that scenario? A lot of people, the answer is no. So the goal is pay off the bad debt. If you're experiencing bad debt where you're taking debt and things are not happening for you, we got to figure out a strategy to eliminate that, because you can't build wealth if you have bad debt in your life. Any final thoughts?
I'm no financial expert like Caleb, but I think what you're saying is don't spend money or get money unless it's going to get you more money back.
And leverage can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing depending on what you do and how it's set up.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.